Well, ladies and gentlemen, well, good evening and welcome to a conversation with myself and Matondon Mukulu. Mukulu was an acting former public defender, that's correct,
Yes,
in
an
Jamaica,
acting public defender.
and myself, Sylbourne Sydial. And we are presently in the King's Land.
No, no, I think you mean on the King's Manor.
We're in the King's Manor, in Beckenham Place Park in South London. But the conversation that we're having is simply really about the Jamaica forging away and forging ahead with the republic, Jamaica being a republic.
Mhm.
And we said, let's just have a discussion, not virtual, but face to face, and just talk with you about it. Matunda, what's your take about this? This is a very exciting time, isn't it? In the
Uh,
King's Manor.
It is, yes, it's a very interesting time in our history, in our
Mm,
constitutional and political history,
mm,
because we're moving now, finally, I say, to set about to reorganize and
mm,
effectively remove the king as our head of state,
yeah.
and it is something that has been talked about from a long time,
Yeah.
and now that it's happening, I think we're all pleased that it can happen. But there are legitimate voices that have raised points
Hmm.
that I think are worth that the points are worth considering.
Yes.
And as much as I and you and I trust
Yeah.
the men and women who have formed this constitutional review commission, who sit on the commission,
Mm,
there are things that I'm personally not comfortable with, and
yes.
there are persons not only in the diaspora but on the rock in Jamaica. There are people who are not satisfied with a lot of things. One of
Mm,
them is the fact that we're going to replace the king as the head of state
yeah.
with a ceremonial president.
Yeah. That's very important there because it is surprising and interesting that you're actually saying this just after they've launched the campaign or the quest to say they already have a consensus in making it a ceremonial president.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, hang on a second, has this been in consultation with the people?
Well, clearly not. I mean,
Mm,
an important decision such as this cannot be arrived at in such a short period.
yes, yes.
And I am personally disappointed with the political representatives within the on the committee,
Mm,
both from the JLP and the PNP wing, because one, the people of Jamaica themselves have not gotten an opportunity to really exercise their brain and their thoughts on we're going to remove the king
yeah,
as the head of state, but what are the options out there
yes,
that we can think of? Can we create something that can bring a higher degree and quality of governance?
yes.
And that is why I am saying that we should be concerned.
I think we should be concerned. And as you say, and I'm with you totally 100% because this is a lifetime event.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean to say it's going to be the only time it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we're going to make any changes, it's got to be very effective. And Matunda, we're not just talking about removing the king as a head of state. If you're talking about changing up the constitution, there must be aspects to it. There must be term limits. There must be removing even the Caribbean, removing the
The Privy
Privy
Council,
Council.
of
So it
course.
can't just. It's not just
And yeah,
just removing the
yeah.
king.
I mean, what people listening on should be aware of or made aware of is this simple and important point.
Mm,
Said it's easier to remove appeals to the Privy Council than it is to remove the king. What do
yes.
I mean by that? You don't need a referendum to remove appeals to the Privy Council, to abolish the
Yes.
appeals to the Privy Council,
Yes.
but you need a referendum, a costly referendum,
Yes.
to remove the king. And so I don't understand why it is that the minister,
Yeah.
I should say by extension, the prime minister, the
Mm,
government, is taking the view that as we seek to complete the process of true independence, we should not remove appeals to the Privy Council
mm,
and utilize, guess
yes.
what, the Caribbean Court of Justice that we in Jamaica are paying for.
Mm,
Taxpayers in Jamaica
and
are paying for it, and the government are saying it's like you buy a car
yeah.
and you park the car from your garage,
I still have to pay for it.
and he said, "Boy, I take bus now, not because
Mm.
I'm in love with the environment,
Mm.
but because my car too crisp."
Yes.
And I personally don't understand that sort of thought process. And the members of the Constitutional Review Commission have been sucked into this business of consensus.
Do you think that, and people have said this to me and read, do you think that these terms of reference and these consensus is something maybe has been placed before them and say, this is where we are going and let's work towards it. And therefore, we're going to have these meetings and just say that we have consensus. Do you think there's something facetious, or is just that these guys are not so strong to really?
I mean, you have the likes of Donald Scott Motley on the
Mm.
on the committee.
Yeah.
You have Hugh Small. You have Hugh Graham. Um,
So Richards again.
say again.
Richards, Father Richard, some lawyer, some constitutional expert.
I mean, Richard Albert.
Richard Albert, yes.
Yeah.
My page, yeah.
You have persons who are known to be very clear in their views and are no shrinking violets.
Mm.
But saying so, when the minister had her press conference a week and a half or
Yes,
two ago,
yes.
I was quite shocked in that she came out in such a short period. Not only was she sort of trying to cajole the media
Mm.
into buying into the process,
Yes.
but also she made it clear that this is everything. We're going about this in a sort of consensual manner.
We're gonna get consensus.
We're gonna, yeah,
We're gonna get consensus on this. Yeah.
and you asked the question,
Mm.
do you think she's laid out these terms of reference, gone into the meeting and said, listen guys, this is how it's gonna go? Is that what she has done with such erudite persons in the room? I don't think she would do that deliberately.
Yes.
But certainly the mood music that came out
Yes.
from that press conference suggests to me that there's a bit of pally-palliness going on in dealing with such an important issue, such as to reorganize the governance structure of our country. And we must be concerned about this.
And it's an opportunity and a good time now, ladies and gentlemen, for it to be very creative, to create the Jamaica that we want to see. We do not have to follow the Westminster system.
No.
We can create something, and therefore, when I think about even, and you can break down, and for our viewers, you can say what needs to be done in order for this to go to the people for a referendum. But at the end of the day, when you make the distinction between a ceremonial president, and ladies and gentlemen, I must say that the birds that you're hearing, they are singing because they are so much in agreement with us. They're not trying to stop us, they're just enjoying the conversation. The ceremonial president and the executive president, there's such a fundamental distinction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's deal with first with the ceremonial president. What is a ceremonial president, so people can understand what that is?
I mean, the clearest example of that is what we presently have in the form of the Governor General. Now, under our Constitution, the Governor General has what I call very limited real power.
Yes.
Okay? The Governor General is the Queen's representative.
Yes.
There's some decisions that the Governor General has the power to make, but in consultation with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
Yes.
The Governor General is the one who technically appoints the Prime Minister
on the advice, of course.
But let us be realistic about it. When the governor, at the end of each general election, the person who is who has the majority in the lower house, will become the lead, the Prime Minister.
The leader.
The Governor General really doesn't have any power to say no. I'm not going to appoint you as a Prime Minister. So a ceremonial type of president is really akin, at the end of the day, to what the Governor General is.
It's a lame duck, isn't it? Sorry to say that.
Well, it's power without it's an office without much political power, even though the Constitution confers some degree of power, but in real terms, and I think.
But they have the power to lock up the man if he steals a hockey.
Well,
Aki. Anyway, let's carry
well,
on. That was a distraction there.
so but as opposed to an executive president,
Yeah.
and how you arrive at the executive president, do you elect that represent that person, or do you have both houses of parliament sitting
Mhm.
and you have a vote there, or do you have separate sittings where the
Yes.
Senate sits alone and the lower house sits alone?
Yes.
What is being said now is that we're going to have a president, a ceremonial president, who has been nominated by the prime minister
Mhm.
in consultation with
The leader
the
of
the
opposition.
leader of opposition. That's a total
Because the
nonsense.
one was more say.
Of course, the prime minister is not that we have a situation where the leader of the opposition is going to say, "I don't want Sid
Yeah.
because for good objective reasons, not because he
Yeah.
doesn't like Sid, but
Yeah.
objective reasons." If the prime minister wants to ignore him, he's
So
going
they
to,
pick you because you're in green.
yeah.
You're
For
in green.
example,
You're in
yeah,
a green
I'm
shirt.
wearing green. Well, let's pick Matondon. The
Yeah.
leader of the opposition said, "No, I don't like that."
Yeah.
The leader of the opposition cannot. He doesn't have a veto power
Mm.
to say, "Well, you're not listening to me, so I'm going to usurp that." Can't do that. You understand? Can't do that. If it goes to a situation where you have both houses voting separately,
Yes.
how our constitution is set up in the Senate, the opposition always have and I like how Dr. Stephen Bastiani put it in one of his essays, a blocking third.
Yeah.
You cannot get anything on a very serious constitutional amendment if the opposition doesn't agree, because they can block it. And so that is how they're planning to do the ceremonial president.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm saying, at least the people of Jamaica must say we want a discussion on the difference between the executive president and the ceremonial president, because in some countries the executive president, an executive president I should say, have the power to select a member from a cabinet
Yes.
who does not belong to the
Any other political parties.
political
Yes.
parties.
Yes.
That happens in Guyana.
In the States, in a way, like,
Yeah,
because the
in the
president
United
can appoint and then the Senate and the Congress
after approve.
ratify this
Yeah.
person. Yes.
Now we don't necessarily have to go the full hog the way the Americans do it.
Yes.
But all we're saying is that, firstly, the people of Jamaica must be given an opportunity to really discuss and see what structures they can consider.
Yes.
Because what we're talking about, Sid,
Yeah.
is governance. Governance, because
Mm.
one of the things that has really wrecked and has impacted on our progress as a nation is the nefarious role that politics has played in decision making.
Yes.
And you and I have suffered from it, not individual, but our collectively. You and I have suffered from it, and so we need to fix this governance structure, and this is what this review opportunity presents to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to come back and take a break, and we're going to go back into the discussion as to what are the steps and how people can get involved, and what the referendum is about when this is put to the people. Back in a second. Thank you.